Good morning. Well, good afternoon, but for me it's good morning because I just woke up. An hour ago, and I'm sure people want to. Some people are interested in an update. Update with regard to the only thing that can be updated, which is the R&D update, research and development update. Nothing really. I'm in prison, so nothing else, and I have no connection with anyone any person. So but what more can be updated besides R&D? But of course, I know that you want to get some updates, and I also speak. I also doing like a short theory session. So during the night, the soup was not changed in a significant way, but it's still. It was connected to electrolysis, of course, without fire. It didn't change much. So of course, it's still in progress. I'm not going to throw it away or something. I will continue to work on it today and maybe tomorrow, and it's a process. It's more complicated than it's not a very trivial process. And actually, why should it be? We are creating something that I understand is that again, it's different from your perspective and my perspective, and maybe I will elaborate on that. But of course, from your perspective, it's very clear that it's a very valuable substance, internationally famous and valuable. So yes, why should it be? Very trivial process. Okay, so we have several steps, and we need to work on it. And even after I'm finished working on the basic process, there would probably be improvements and advancements. And as I said, for my several times, for my perspective, I continue to work on the issue of working with the nanobots and heroes and improving not only improving the method of how to use the nanobots to create stuff or to improve stuff, but also the process that improves the nanobot themselves itself. Allow them to stay alive outside my body, and not only be alive but also grow and multiply and do stuff that will increase their capabilities. And that's something that I'm speaking about this issue for months now, so it's not new from my perspective, but it suddenly became much more interesting from the audience perspective. And I try to and I understand it, but I try to understand why. The obvious answer is that that the intelligence communities of this world, of course in Israel and the United States, but probably others as well, like in Russia for certain, and others in England, the strong ones, but possibly even weaker ones. They are familiar with these black. Actually, when it's dried, it's becoming. It looks like chocolate. So maybe this is. There's an obsession with the Israeli intelligence with chocolate, and specifically dark chocolate. And maybe that's the reason. I don't know, because really, when it dries, it looks like chocolate. So it looked like a chocolate spread that was dried, like a Shachar HaOleh, which I don't know. It's very extremely popular chocolate spread in Israel. When it's dried, it looks similar to that actually. So so you're familiar with that, and it's you understand that it's and you use it. Obviously, you use it for many years, but for some reason that I don't understand why, you use it like cannibal idiots. I have, maybe I'm wrong, but I have a very strong feeling that it's not just feeling; it's something based on a lot of stuff. I should say that some people have started to watch me I mean, relatively recently. So I need to remind the audience that I'm in the process of discovery that's taking place for years now, and I'm speaking for years, and I've like had podcasts and blogging, whatever, and so I mean, when I do something, when I encounter a new phenomenon like the black goo, it's new. I've never seen it before, but it's not that I have no idea. I mean, like what am I dealing with? Because I have like a whole framework of events and discoveries for many years now, all related to the intelligence communities of this world, and also to my own life. So I like I have a huge puzzle. I mean, broken puzzle that I mean, when I get like when I see a new piece, it's not like the first piece in the puzzle. It's another piece in a huge puzzle that is far from being completed. But I mean, it's not that I don't have it's not that I don't have any like a background that will allow me to give meaning to what I see. So it's not like a prophecy, even though I say it without like I'm not ashamed to say that I have connection, like personal connection with God, but it's not that it's not. I mean, for me to understand what's the black goo, I don't need like a prophecy. I mean, what I need is that my own experience that I've and a lot of like theories that many theories that I documented the theories, and I should say that I mean many times I'm wrong, and I correct myself. I mean because it's a process. That doesn't mean that we should that every theory should be like be inspected like forever or put like on hold forever. For example, the most important thing that for my perspective right now is the fact that Israel is a Nazi prison, and I have to be rescued. There is not a word that I don't say that me and my daughters will have to be rescued from a Nazi prison. We don't need to wait like more 40 years of torture to see if they will change their ways. The current like 40 years or 39 years that I've spent in Israel and been subjected to torture are enough. I mean, I don't need another 40. I don't need another day. I mean, so not everything that I said should be put like in a question mark, because I mean, if a person is tortured for so many years and has like small children that are tortured as well and being kept apart from him, we don't need to wait another day to see if this theory is correct or not. So something I stress it very like loudly, because people need to understand. Yes, I am different from you because I have different nature from you, and yes, I claim to like divine inspiration, which is not unique, because not many, but quite a bit of like Homo sapiens people in your history also claimed for such a connection, and some were just lunatics, but some actually had such a connection. Prophecy is a real thing. Divinations are a thing in this world. But the fact that that I claim for divination doesn't mean that I have like a personal Wikipedia that allows me to get like answers to every question, or that I'm always that I'm never wrong. I mean, even I know I spoke about it in the past, but I don't know if some remember. But even in Islam, where in the Islamic religion, where Muhammad is considered a prophet, that the whole law, like the Islamic law, is based on what he's done, the Sirah. The Quran is almost not used at all for the Islamic law. It's almost all based on the things that happened to Muhammad and how he acted. So even in such a religion, there was still today it's kind of like philosophically it's kind of like it's different today. But during the last 1,000 years, there were actually like arguments within the religion about at least the option, if not a materialization of the option of Muhammad being wrong in his life and then correcting himself. And of course, that in Judaism, were many prophets were like all of them were flawed, and like even Moses, but the rest of his naturally all the rest as well. They were wrong and they corrected themselves, and then it's okay. So I can be wrong, and I'm wrong a lot, and I present new theories and I correct myself. But still, having said that, some things should be like acted upon immediately. And the first thing is that this is a Nazi state, and we don't need to wait. Like I said, 40 years because I'm 39 years old. 39 and 4 months. But we don't need to wait, like, but it's not that the whole started 39 years ago. As I said many times, when I came into this world, it was after such a long history of terror that it was already, known for anyone that, in the higher circles, not on earth, that the Israeli country will be destroyed. I came into this world, as a messenger for people outside Israel, because people in Israel are irredeemable, and it was already the case on 1984 when I was born. So I say 39 years because that's the length of my personal torture, not the length of the terror in Israel, which started before even the country was formally declared on 1948. So yes, we don't need to wait to see if for more 39 years to see if the torture for me in order to rescue me from this hell. I need to rescue today, now. But yes, regarding science, regarding the general political situation in the world, is something that is very difficult to really understand, because it's all it's a web of lies and secrets. So yes, I could be wrong, but even my mistakes, I remember them, and I also a lot is recorded, and as you know, I like to watch my own old videos, which help me to correct my theories. So when I encountered a new stuff like the black goo, that I understand that is something that you know extremely well, and it's part of your culture. I connected. I connected to. I tried to connect it to see how it fits, in different different kind of constructions or rotations in the existing puzzle. Which, of course, by the way, the existing puzzle is also not cast in iron. You change the previous things that you have established already, and sometimes you need to even throw away or discard the whole part of the puzzle that you thought that looks fine, but actually you understand that they do not fit in the big picture. So the black goo is something that you use. I'm not sure for what purpose, but I'm sure that it can be used for many things that you don't even dream of. But you're so barbaric, all of you, that you didn't even pay you didn't even took the effort or had the trouble to actually research it proper research of it. So you just eat it. Let's be strictly speaking, you just eat it and it does something for you. But I want to see. I want to understand why it's so. Why is it so valuable to you? And also, what makes it fundamentally different than the things that I've already shown you? Because there is a difference, actually. Of course there is. There is one. I don't have the microscope, so it's all. It's difficult to theorize, but we still have enough, substantial proof that that we can formulate. We can see, at least one thing is certain, that there is one property in which the black goo is actually different than the rest of the mixture that I prepared until now, and there is one difference that I'm certain about it. I thought about it yesterday, and one thing is certain, and it's actually not a good thing. It's not something that in favor of the black goo. You like the black goo because you're just used to it. It's not that the black goo is better than the mixture that you've seen until now. Just that you are acquainted with it. So, but what is the fundamental difference between the black goo and the other stuff? So, the fundamental difference is that the black goo cannot be used to create black goo, because if it could, then you had no problem of supply, because you can just create more and more of it. But my stuff, the mixtures, can be used to create a black goo, and that was shown already. And by the way, it was not really the first time. It was just the first time that I prepared a full glass of it. Even though it was not a big, it was not a big glass, and there is also the cover of the glass, and it's not to the top, so it wasn't that big amount, but it was I don't know, maybe 100 cc, and there was a little bit. There was also sort of like, I mean, lamps, but I would say that there was something like 100 cc at least of the stuff, which is it was nice for the first batch. But it really was not the first time that I've seen it. But well, actually, I recall. I'm not sure that I recalled that I mean actually seen like small amount of the stuff like in other mixtures, because so it's really. But this time it was just 100 cc. Like I mean, pretty much like I mean concentrated of it. And maybe I jumped too high because now I try to create like a whole like pot. It's a pretty big pot, but actually it's not the whole size of the pot volume, because I mean there is like a glass bowl inside it, because I mean some of the synchronizers, I mean it's I mean the pot is filled with like ice water, and inside it the floats like I mean the glass bowl, which is so only the glass bowl is like is like it contains the stuff that I want to, where I want the black goo to be created. But still it's a big one. I mean it's like certainly more than a liter, maybe I don't know 3 liters. So it's quite a jump. Maybe it's a too high jump, and maybe I should have like be more modest. But I will continue to work with this bowl. If we see that I don't have any progress, I will try to work on like an intermediate size container, even though I mean material is getting scarce. I don't have any money at all, and I'm almost, and the B box, which is extremely important for the process, I mean I almost have none of it. And also even the canola oil, which I use as like as a replacement for the B box, is almost done. So I'm I don't know what to do. I really need money, and or at least the raw materials. Anyway, let's continue the research talk. So, I mean, for certain, you cannot use the black goo to create black goo, because then I mean, there was not the problem of supply, and there is certainly a big demand. But you can create you can use my mixtures to create black goo, and it was proven without a doubt. And even like to create like I mean, like solid amount. We say 100 cc is nice, is a nice amount. I burned most of it, which maybe it was stupid, but anyway. So, as I say, I'm not going to sell it, so because I'm a slave. Slaves cannot like trade. And if I were to release for my captivity, I'm sure that it would have been very, very simple for me to create much more than 100 cc. So I don't know if 100 cc is like a lot or not from your perspective, but from my perspective, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's like $1 billion in monopoly money, like a monopoly, like toy bills. So where were we? So yes, there is a difference. And of course, I mean, this difference is in favor of my mixtures, not of the black goo, but you are acquainted with the black goo, so that's why you value it. I should say that even without, I mean, it's extremely like sad that I don't have the microscope with me, and my mother just, I mean, even though she actually came here to bring me like food, but she didn't brought the microscope, and I don't understand why. It's such a small thing, and could have helped me so much. But even without that, it's still evident for many reasons that there is something that is actually that there are many things that are similar between my mixtures, the previous mixtures, and the black goo, and they I mean it's obvious that I mean you can actually see it with, I mean, without microscope, that on some occasions, it's not easy, but you can actually, but it's actually possible to verify it without a microscope if you look very carefully and under certain conditions. That both of those materials, I mean, the mixtures and the black goo, they both contain creatures or entities that I called Neros, and are, I mean, possibly you could say that they are nanobots, even though I should remind you that I'm like I don't have any evidence that they're actually entities that can start. I mean, they go bigger and bigger to size. I can actually see them in with their own eyes. We call them nanobots because presumably they start their life, or like the smallest of them are in the nanoscopic scale. But that was not established, and they cannot establish it. The only way to establish it is either, I mean, with an electron microscope, which will be amazing to actually put the stuff under an electron microscope. But these are not like household items. It's not easy to have access to some. I mean, in the United States, I mean, you can buy everything like very easily, like I mean, in eBay and stuff. But here in Israel, it's not. I mean, even if I wasn't imprisoned, and even if I had money, perhaps I mean, I don't know if it was such an easy thing to get a hold of like an electron microscope. It's not like a common item. Or I mean, you can deduce things about like entities that are, I mean, it's too small for you to actually like detect or watch or sense, even without sensing those like entities. For example, the boson Higgs, the Higgs boson, like I mean, a particle that I mean was speculated a long time ago to exist, and I mean, of course, I mean it's far too small to actually like not even optically watch, but detect in any way, unless you have like extremely like the CERN super collider, which is like perhaps certainly the most expensive like research appliances that humans ever created. And I mean, so yeah, there are theoretical ways in physics to deduce the existence of creatures without not only seeing entities, without like optically seeing them, but also without even sensing those entities. But I mean, I have very strong feeling and like many reasons to believe that these entities either start their life, or they don't have to start their life, because we've already spoken about their ability to replicate themselves. But they can, I mean, mine neurons, not like the black goo neurons, they cannot replicate themselves, because if they could, at least, I mean, if it was simple or for them to replicate themselves, so my guess is that there wasn't such a problem of supply, because I mean, you could just, I mean, there is a slim chance that no one ever thought like of doing any research at all with this stuff, not even in Venus. And so I mean, and that it's like no problem to use any kind of amount of black goo to replicate any amount of black goo, and that just, I mean, never in the history of Venus and Earth, no one ever tried to do any basic research on it. But I think it's comically like it's comically improbable that, I mean, that although the entire history of Earth and Venus, two planets, huge ancient civilizations with that, I mean, know of an extremely valuable material, and both of these like, it's not only cultures, like civilization, like interplanetary civilizations, never thought of like conducting any research that could have like get them I mean, any amount of the stuff that they value so much. I mean, the probability exists, but again, it's comically improbable. A much more probable theory is that it's actually impossible to use the black goo to create more black goo. And that's why the people of Venus and the people of Earth never did it. This is much more probable, and there is actually yes, I assume, and it could, I'm more than this, I'm sure, I'm certain that the black goo contains entities that could also, I mean, let's put them under the umbrella term of nanobots, even though, as I said now, I'm not even sure they are nanoscopic in scale, and they can have value size up to like sizes that can be like seen in, like optically seen with, like, without in the naked eye, and they have all sort of like sizes. But let's put both of these entities and the entities that I call neurons under the umbrella term nanobots. And who said, I mean, even the categorization of bots is questionable, because they are so different than any kind of nanobots that we know from both from science fiction and from like early scientific adventures, human adventures into the issue of small robots. They're so different, and I mean. And the distinction between the robots and biological creatures is so problematic, because I mean, you see, I mean, my research on the neurons, I mean, for my research I only use like research method from the realm of biology, not from engineering. Even though I know nothing about biology, and I'm much closer, like in like in like personal knowledge and experience to engineering than biology. I know nothing about biology, and I had to like learn everything from scratch during the last three months, as you know. Still, certainly at least the initial like state of like the research, biology and microbiology are much more relevant to the research of this material than the study of engineering. And I said again, I come from engineering background, but it's currently not helpful at all. I mean, biology is for certain the closest science to what I do now, at least now. Of course, microbiology and also the study of like of cultures, anthropology, and because as I said many times, what I do, I mean, a huge part of what I do is actually like a study of communication or practice of communication because it's like an alien civilization, the Neros, and I try and to a certain extent I have successes and failures in communicating with this. So it's both like a study of culture and communication, and from the natural science point of view, it's a kind of microbiology, much more than sub science of engineering, at least at this stage. So let's call them nanobots. So there are at least two kinds of nanobots, and I argue that there are much more than two, and that humans on Earth, like Homo sapiens as well, in their bodies contain those neurons, but not the same that I had, and probably not the same that exists in the black goo. So yes, I mean, for certain, my neurons can create the black goo, but not the other way around. The black goo most probably cannot be used to create more black goo, because if it were, then it's so ridiculous. And it's not even funny. It's just, what? Are you that stupid that, for all your history and another history of another planet that you were in contact with, and those people as well use the black goo, and they as well value it, which I'm certain without ever stepping in this planet, because there are so many reasons to understand that. I'm certain I have so many reasons to strongly believe that. I know almost nothing about the other planets. I'm not even sure it's Venus, as I said many times. Could be like, you use a wormhole to get there. So maybe the wormhole, I don't know, puts you like on another galaxy or another universe. But there are many from the history of space exploration and NASA conspiracies and the conspiracies of the Russian space, in like the Soviet space organization. There are many, and I've spoken about it and written about it. My firm belief is that it's probably Venus, but it doesn't really matter because you use wormhole, so whatever. So the other place, let's call it Venus. Let's call it Venus. I never put my I never been there in my life, but I am certain that the people that are in there also value this material, and you have contact with them, or at least in the past I don't know if like today you have contact with them, but some of them actually are working on air, so you have contact with them anyway. And none of you ever had never conducted any research on the material. It's and you don't even need to be a scientist. Research can be done without the institutions of modern scientists. And I've said it in the past that the scientific method is kind of a mythology. And I mentioned Alexander Koyere. Never mind. Let's not digress to philosophy of science. You could do science, and humans have done science way before the so-called scientific revolution. I would argue that there were scientists on Earth, like Homo sapiens scientists, even 50,000 years ago. But let's not discuss this claim right now. But so no one ever tried to do it. So it's much more probable that it's not the same material, exactly the same material. There is a qualitative difference between every mixer that I've worked with until now and the black goo, and at least one of the differences is that it cannot be created to create black goo. It can be used for other stuff, other things. That's why you value it so much. Okay, so what I'll do now, first of all, I need to clean my room because it's probably it's not a big room, and it's like filled with like possibly the most nastiest thing that you can be like created like in a hostel room. Really, it's like if think about the disgusting thing that a person can like create or use in a hostel room. So the room is filled with it. Pee, semen, like ash, burned stuff, dust, any kind of trash. The only thing that I can say in my defense is that they actually use much of the said those trash nasty things to create. They are used in my research and my manufacturing process. So it's not. So it's I think it's a valid defense on. If it was a sterile, clean laboratory, much of the stuff that I create couldn't have been created. But it's got to such a level that I can't even walk like move even in the room because it's so filled with so much trash. So I will take the time to arrange the room, and then I will continue with my efforts.